Hello viewers, I am DS, your psychologist, and welcome to another episode on channel NITT. So in this episode, I am going to talk about the ENTJ, ISFJ compatibility using my real life experiences. In fact, I had 5 exes and 2 of them were ISFJs. So my very first ex was an ISFJ, but technically she's not my first girlfriend, so to speak, because before that I had a fringe one which lasted only for 2 weeks. So in one of my previous episodes, I mentioned that as an ENTJ, I do not consider all this fringe 2-week, 2-month type of relationship as a relationship that I want to count as a relationship. So the first one is with an ISFJ, and that lasted 3 years 4 months, and it was immediately followed by another ISFJ which lasted for 1 year 7 months. So if you're an ISFJ or ENTJ watching this video because you want to know how an ISFJ ENTJ relationship may be like, then I hope that you get to learn something from this episode. But a point to note is I started my love life very late. I only had my first girlfriend when I was 22. So very late bloomer, and during the time we were still in the IRC ICQ era. So that is where I got to know my first ex. So it was actually easier for me because we get to chat a lot before we met. So after having chatted with ISFJ number 1 for a day, so we decided to meet. And after we met, we sort of liked each other. So the second day I was a little bored, so I asked the ISFJ number 1 out again, and then she said yes. So we started meeting again and again, and somehow we just became a couple. So it's almost the same with ISFJ number 2. So let me describe the feeling of this ISFJ ENTJ relationship. First, I would use tolerant as a word, a common theme between the two ISFJs. They are very tolerant with the ENTJ. So I'm not too sure, is it because I was very young then, I was in my early 20s, so I was very willful as a lover. I'm not too sure whether I would use the word immature or jerk to describe myself. I think both resonates. So what actually happened was, a lot of the times the relationship seems to be very centered around me when I was with the ISFJ. Both ISFJs the same. Maybe I did not really understand what love is because I started out very late. I was still exploring. So with the first one, I had a lot of episodes whereby I want to break up. I had actually maybe initiated breakup at least 3 or 4 times, but after a day I just got back. Couldn't manage to break up, and eventually finally I just decided let's break up. So for both the relationships, I think I was the one who initiated the breakup. So why did I initiate the breakup? I think that there were a lot of reasons for this. So the first reason would be my problem. I think I'm very willful, I am very impish, I take the lovers for granted. So in this sense, it was very bad of me. So if we go out and we have a quarrel, I am the type who will just dump and leave them on the street and just walk away, take a bus and go. So after that, we're going to have a cold war for a while, then 3 days later, maybe I will just look for them again. So it's this type of a very immature type of a relationship. It went on for quite some time for both of them. Anyway, after that, I had my retribution. The INFPs that I dated just dumped me on the street as well. So it's really karma. A second reason why I decided to leave the ISFJs was that the relationship was really very understimulating and boring for me. Now that I look back, I think the relationship is almost always about me. I will always be talking much about myself. About 80% of the time I'm talking about myself, my studies, my work. 20% of the time then I'm listening to their story. So it's very centered around me, and then actually the ISFJs may really liked the attention on me instead of on them. So in a way it went on like that, and I took them for granted. Now that I look back, they are really loving me with all their heart. I feel very loved, but I did not appreciate them. So after that, I got my decades of retribution. Couldn't find a person who could actually love me so deeply as the first 2. On my part, I am very sure that I did not give them as much love as they had deserved and as much love as they had given me, but they were very tolerant. They just kept on giving and giving and giving. I think this is their FE at work. So maybe deep down they are very sad about it, they are very upset, disappointed with me, but they did not really directly share this with me. Sometimes you can actually see that when we are out together, there is some form of a sadness. Now that I know MBTI better, I can really understand the ISFJ in this regard. So I really feel quite apologetic for having done that in my early 20s. One other similarity I noticed of the two ISFJs was that when I decided to leave, they did not keep me. It seems as if they just let me go. They did not cry out loud for that matter. They just wished me well. So that to me was very amazing, because it's as if they really love me so much that they are willing to do all the sacrifice. So this is also one of the reasons why I rank the ISFJ as number 1 in my video on the top 8 MBTI types that are the most compatible with the ENTJ. Why? Because given my age now, much older, I think what I really crave for is stability instead of stimulation. Well, the relationship is very understimulating, that's for sure. It's kind of boring. We're just going through routine. There is no growth. It's like a straight road. We go out, after that we eat, after that we say goodbye. No, it's like nothing. There is something lacking in this kind of relationship. But now to look at it, it's very stable. Now that I'm older, I would say that having a stable love life is very important for the ENTJ, because this kind of a stability is very grounding, so it lets me have all the freedom to fly and focus on my work. My concept of love has shifted more from intimacy to that of companionship and friendship. So to me, now, if I look back, I think that kind of an ISFJ relationship is something that I could accept, even though it could be really boring. But boring is good, because over time, all relationships will turn stale, right? I'm not too sure, because I have never dated all the 16 MBTI types long enough to get a feel. So I wish the ISFJ were more like the INFPs in terms of being interesting and individualistic. But I also wish that the INFP could be more stable and tolerant and loving. So what kind of MBTI type is that? So overall, I would say that maybe the ISFJ is not very compatible with the young ENTJ. But now that I've gotten older, I think the ISFJ is some MBTI type that I would foresee myself to be with. Got to endure. But I also feel that if the ISFJ is with an ENTJ, then the focus seems to shift a lot on the ENTJ. So maybe the ISFJ may feel very undernourished, unloved. So this could be a potential problem. So currently, my first ex ISFJ number 1 is already happily married. So I wish her well. I'm very sorry that I've hurt her in the past. I think I would have. And ISFJ number 2 unfortunately has deceased because she met with a car accident, but that was about 2 years after we broke up. When I got to know about the news that she has left, I was really very upset, because I think of all the exes, I really would think that ISFJ number 2 is one whom I am really willing to go back to again if there was ever a chance. So ISFJ number 2, wherever you are now, I really hope that you have peace. And I want to say sorry, and that deep inside me, I still do think of you, and I hope that you are in a better place now. So as I mentioned, I had 5 exes, 2 INFPs, 2 ISFJ. So the other one is the ISTJ. We're going to talk about that soon. If you have enjoyed our video, please do give us a like, and if you have not subscribed, do consider subscribing so that we can bring you more ENTJ and fun stuff. Alright, I'm going to sign off now, and I'll see you in our next episode. Bye bye.